Hi class, this is Brad Phelps and I am your professor for e-commerce. In this video, I'd like to do a short overview of the course to make sure you know how to navigate through Brightspace and also what to expect. So on my screen here, you should see our Brightspace site for our e-commerce class. And when you first enter the course, the first thing you'll see are announcements. As you can see, here's a welcome message on the first screen. So you can always come here, and once a week at least you should see updates here about the class. Now, most of your work will be done in the Content tab. When you go to Content tab, you'll see a series of different sections on the left side. The first one has all your course materials. So inside the Course Information Textbook tab, you'll see your textbook, seen here, your syllabus, outlining the entire course, which we'll discuss in a minute, and your final paper assignment. Now below that, you will see separate folders for each week of the class, which we'll talk more about in a minute. So already in another tab, I've opened up the syllabus. I'm going to go through that there. All right, so here's the syllabus. At the top, you have my contact info. You can reach me by email. Also, you can text me or call me on my phone if you want. That's totally fine. Your textbook is called E-Commerce and E-Business. It's a free book inside Brightspace, as we discussed. You can get to it here on the left side. Now let's talk about the points in the class. So you have three types of assignments. You have chapter quizzes, discussion board topics, in which you'll have discussions back and forth with your classmates, and then a final paper. So there's no final exam, we have a final paper instead. There'll be 6 total chapter quizzes, and each are worth 150 points, so 900 points total. There'll be 11 discussion topics, 50 points each, 550 points possible. And then your final paper is 300 points, and it's due the very last week during what would be finals week. So there's a total of 1,750 or 1,750 points total. So you kind of get an idea of how each assignment fits into the larger whole as far as how much impact they have on your grade. Late assignments. So you need to read the syllabus in full, but I'm going to give you the highlights. All your assignments are due the week they're assigned, and you'll see in the schedule in a few minutes how that's laid out. So assignments are assigned on Mondays, and they're due Sunday at midnight. So class weeks are from Monday to Sunday at midnight. And the next week, a new class week starts. You have new assignments that are due that week. So make sure you get your assignments due the week they are assigned. Now, there is one exception to this. I will let you turn in one of your quizzes late if you let me know within 1 week of missing it. So you get one quiz freebie you can make up late in case something comes up in your life and you just can't get to the quiz. Things happen. So I do give you one you can turn in late. Your discussion questions, just like your quizzes, start on Monday, but these will work on all week long. So on Monday, you'll start, and you'll have until Friday to make your own best answer to these questions. These are not right or wrong questions. These are your opinion based on research. So you will read the question, do research if you want. If you do research, you'll provide your sources and give your absolute best answer you can provide to that question by Friday. But the discussion goes on until Sunday. So you need to make at least 2 additional posts on the discussion forum regarding this question by applying to your classmates with posts that help move the discussion forward in an educational way. By bringing up new ideas, additional sources, bring up new questions. It needs to add value to the discussion. You can't just say, I agree, good point. That is not going to count as a good answer. It needs to be a quality answer that moves the discussion forward in an educational way. I try to lay out all the details of how these are graded in this section. If you have any questions, reach out and I'll be happy to answer those questions. Your attendance is recorded based on your participation on Brightspace. So I can see when you've logged in, what assignments you've done. So that's how participation is tracked. Next, generative AI or artificial intelligence. So Gen A is not allowed in this course. So you can't use it for any of your assignments. Now, I know sometimes people may worry that what if something I write appears to be AI when maybe it's not. So to solve that problem, I'm going to use a free tool, zerogpt.com. You can use it too. And what I recommend is after you do an assignment, run it through that tool and see what it says. Because I'm occasionally going to spot check or do a check if something looks suspicious. And if it shows 25% or higher, it will be considered using AI. But you can use the same tool I'm using, so you can check it yourself and make sure nothing you do is flagged as AI. So make sure nothing you do shows higher than 25% likely use of AI, and then you'll be good. But if something does show higher than 25%, then I will take points off. Academic integrity policy is basically saying don't plagiarize, which is also a good segue from the artificial intelligence discussion. All right, so here's one of the most important parts of the syllabus that you'll be looking at most frequently. This is the schedule. So I mentioned the class is broken down into class weeks that start on Monday and end on Sunday. So this shows you the date of the Monday that each class week begins and the date of the Sunday in which they each end and the assignments of each week. So you can see in week 1, starting on Monday, January 12th, there's 2 assignments. There's a chapter 1 quiz. So you'd read the chapter 1 in our textbook and take the chapter 1 quiz, and you participate in discussion topic 1. Now, discussion topic 1 is going to be a really easy discussion topic. You're just going to be telling the class about yourself. But in future topics in this class, you'll be discussing things related to the material of this course. So this is the only week you only have one discussion topic. I want to start off slowly. But once you get to week 2, that looks like what most weeks in this course will look like. 1 chapter quiz and 2 discussion topics. So if I scroll down here, you'll see that continues through week 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then the week that would be the final week, Monday through Friday, February 23rd through 27th, your final paper is due on Wednesday of that week. So no final exam, but you have a paper due on Wednesday, February 25th. So let's use that as a good reason to move over to the final paper. So here's a final paper assignment. So you're going to write a paper about marketing with social media platforms. So I've listed several different social media platforms. You're going to choose the ones you want to write about. So you pick one of the following, and then you're going to write a paper that talks about how to use it. So I've given you certain sections of your paper to write. Introduction. We talk about what it is, why you should use it, how you get started. We talk about getting leads. How do you get leads of finding customers, potential customers for your product and getting them as a follower? Then nurturers. How do you get followers interested and motivated to be interested in buying from you? Next is conversion. How do you take that relationship you've built and actually make them a paying customer? And the conclusion will be summarizing your paper that you've written. So the idea is basically you're going to take one platform and talk about how you use it to sell a product. Down below you can see the requirements. Those requirements around, first of all, the sections we just discussed should be laid out in the same order as above. It has a certain number of pages. I can't tell you how many people will not write the right number of pages. Like here it says it has to be at least 6 pages. If it's less than 6 pages, you'll lose points. And you can't have half your first page be your cover, so to speak, with title and professor and date and that kind of stuff, or that's only half a page. You'll need 6.5 pages. So you need 6.5 pages of content, but no more than 10. You'll need a list of references, 10 references on the last at the end, which does not count as part of your 6 pages. Has some fonts you can use and font sizes, and another reminder that you can't use AI for this assignment. This needs to be your own thinking and research. At the bottom, you can see how it's graded. So it's 300 points possible. 50 points are the clarity of your discussion, arguments, and points. And then 250 points at the very bottom are spelling and grammar, attention to detail. But the other 200 are broken down by the different sections of your paper. That's why it's important to write your paper in the exact format given here of different sections, because each section will be graded separately. Introduction, leads, nurturing, conversion, conclusion are all graded separately and each worth 40 points each total. So that's your final assignment. So that's the syllabus and final assignment. I mentioned here's your textbook. You can easily read this here. The rest of this content section is each of the weeks. So if you go to the syllabus and you see week 1 has a chapter quiz and a topic, well, if you go here, here's week 1, here's the beginning and end date, here's the quiz, click there to go to the quiz, your discussion topic, click here to go to the discussion topic. So you can get to all your assignments from this left side. And then the final week, you have a link here to turn in your final paper. Now at the top of the bright space, you'll also have like a place you can see your grades, a dedicated section for just discussions, and some other links that may be useful to you. But always make sure you always check the main page for announcements. But each announcement on this page, I'll also send you a direct email. I often like to send reminders each week of what's to do each week. That said, your syllabus is your official record of what's due in this class and when. So always look at your syllabus. But definitely look for the reminders to send you to help make sure you stay on task. All right, that's everything I wanted to share with you. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm happy to help you throughout this class. I look forward to working with you. Let's have a great semester.